we tend to mask our symptoms with prescriptions, right? We're gonna try and work towards taking either Advil on a regular basis, and I really ask you when you come to your appointments, as much as you can, to remove any of painkillers so you can really feel where your body feels this is appropriate and it's not appropriate, right? As much as possible, we'll do it on an individual basis. But try to remove any blockages to sensation so you can see how you really exist in space and how you really feel. We'll move from there, taking out as much of the garbage as possible. Everyone's gonna start from a different point and end at a different point. All right, and that's appropriate. We can't have everyone start at the same place. Nor would we want to. All right? I think that's basically what I wanted to say. You guys have questions for me?
You mentioned a kind of yoga. Medium?
Meridian yoga.
Yeah, what is that?
So meridian yoga is a form of yoga that focuses on the energy pathways of the body based on Chinese medicine, based on like the acupuncture and acupressure system. So it's a form of yoga that is like half active, half passive, where we work to clean out those energy pathways. Now, these energy pathways very much follow the lines of connective tissue, which is really interesting because it came far, far, far before ultrasound capabilities and the ability to really do good cadaver dissection. This is thousands of years old, and the energy pathways just follow where our muscles and our connective tissue come together and make these little lines. When we move our hands over them using pressure or using some resistance stretching, we can tend to open that up. As we move into this, stuff will come up. No doubt, stuff will come up. Okay? I just want to make people aware of that. This kind of intensive practice, stuff will come up. There will be some crying, probably from everybody, which is very appropriate. For me, like all the time, but no. And here's an example. I have a woman who's been a client of mine for a long time, and she's tall like a model. She's very thin and very tall. She's almost 6 feet tall, and she's gorgeous. And people comment all the time of like, man, that woman is so beautiful. And she is. She's the last person in the world that knows that, right? She grew 6 inches one summer. I think it was between like 5th and 6th grade. So she went back to school and she was taller than everybody, including all the boys. And boy, are puberty-ridden people really kind, right? So everyone said, ha ha, look at you, and she did this. And she kept this for like 30 years, right? So she was starting to get shoulder pain and back pain. No wonder, right? Neck problems here. When we started to open this up, there was a period where she had to go through some intense emotional stuff. And when I touched her to give her adjustments, it felt like that adolescent angst. They're like, oh, everybody hates me, everything's terrible. The only way out's through. As she went to open this, the initial emotional response of like, oh, you're hurting my feelings, that was stuck in her tissue and helped to basically bind her there, had to come out. So she had to cry for a little bit, and she was someone who didn't cry. If she had access to that, she would have gotten rid of it herself. She didn't need me. Right? You know what's really annoying is when someone tells you that you're emotionally cut off. Why are you so emotionally cut off? I always want to tell those people like, psst, if they knew why they were emotionally cut off, they wouldn't be emotionally cut off. Right? Like, does that make sense? Yeah. Closing down here is a huge symptom of our culture. We see that a lot. Right? We do it, you get your heart broken, you shrink. That makes sense. We're protecting ourselves. Right? Some people have done it from when they were children. Children of alcoholic families can very often be here. Any abuse that you felt in your life, we can take it here and we can hold it. Major, 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 it's not our fault. Right? But then at some point we get a choice. I could spend the rest of my life like my friend. My friend could spend the rest of his life blaming his mother for how bad his life is. He's 45. At some point, does your mother get a break? You know? At 45, he had some rough times, and there's no doubt that he had some rough times. But I bet his mother had a mother, and I'm sure she was a piece of cake. At 45, we can go, okay, I can spend the rest of my life blaming my mother and being very angry at her, or I can get up off my butt and decide to make a difference in my life, because I get that choice now. The way I look at it, at some point, we take responsibility for our own selves and say, great, these things happen to me, but without them I might be Paris Hilton. And however it would have worked out, they got me to where I am now. And from where I am now, I get to make a choice of where to go to from here. In some ways, what we start to look at is, if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always gotten. It's your life. And we get to make choices and we get to play. But I don't think we were put here for this much suffering. Right? We are filled with prana. We have this divine energy that we can manifest into anything that we choose to. Sometimes life that makes that very, very, very difficult. But we always have the choice of how to react to those difficulties. Okay. So I just want to come back to finding new ways of looking at how we can react, and how we can change, and how we can shift. Because life can be really amazing. And we get the choice to do that.